Welcome to another iDoctor UK video. In this video, I'm going to show you 8 of the best tried and tested phone repair tips and tricks that you simply cannot live without. I've kept these tips and tricks up my sleeve for a little while, but I genuinely think some of these will really help you. So whether you're a seasoned pro or an absolute beginner, I think you can take something away from this video and probably use it to make your life a little bit easier and your workflow a little bit more efficient. So sit back, relax, and let's start with tip 1. Tip number 1. Say goodbye to the pride and shame. So if you've ever tried to remove a battery that is secured down with that nasty battery adhesive, and you've either snapped one of the pull tabs on an iPhone one, or there just aren't any pull tabs there, like on a Samsung phone, you'll be all too familiar with the pride of shame. It's all too tempting to take some kind of prying tool and try and get underneath the battery to pop it out. But of course, using this technique puts the battery at risk of damage and potentially exploding. Instead, soak all around the battery with a generous glug of isopropyl alcohol and then leave it to soak for 5 to 10 minutes. Once the isopropyl has done its magic, take one of these suction cups like the iFixit one that I've got here and attach it to the battery. You should be able to just pull upwards, sort of like opening a book, to separate the battery from the frame. You'll probably also find that it's got these wrinkly sort of creases on the back of the battery wrap in there. Fear not, just take a little squeegee tool and flatten out those ripples. Tip number 2, 9 times out of 10, you don't need to replace the ear speaker on the phone. If you've been repairing devices for a while, you will know that ear speaker mesh, especially iPhone ear speaker mesh, gets gunked up really bad with either earwax, makeup, or sweat and any other things that I don't really want to think about. To solve this, you rarely even have to open up the phone. Just add a couple of drops of isopropyl alcohol and play the sound that I've linked above me just here. The 165 Hz vibration is the perfect frequency to loosen up any blockages in that mesh. Don't just take my word for it either. There are literally hundreds of comments on that same video where people have even already tried replacing the speaker before trying that technique. The results for doing this will literally blow your eardrums. Tip number 3. In the previous tip, you might have noticed me using the cleaning brush with a clean room wipe on the end of it. This is a really good way to clean up really dusty phone chassis, gunked up logic boards, or like in the previous tip, iPhone ear speakers. Just soak the clean room wipe in either some alcohol or some cleaning solution, whatever you're using, and brush over it with either a toothbrush or other cleaning brush. You should notice a big difference, especially when using this trick to clean logic boards when they're covered in flux residue or corrosion. Tip number 4. Tip number 4, and probably one of my favorite time-saving tricks, applies to iPad digitizers. If you've ever removed an iPad screen, planning to reinstall it later, then touched it, you'll know how tricky it can be to get the inside of the glass super clean and smear-free. Everyone knows that prevention is better than the cure, so take some of this very low-tack cellophane tape and cover the inside of the digitizer in it from the minute that you first remove it to prevent dust or smears getting onto the inside of the glass. Tip number 5. Whilst we're on the subject of iPads, if you've ever worked with them before, you'll know how frustrating it can be when the corners of them become dented and bent. There are small grinding pens available for this, but my favourite tool that packs a lot more power is this Dremel with pen type attachment and small grinding disc attached. I usually work slowly, grinding a small bit away at a time. You'll also notice that this 10mm diameter disc is pretty much the perfect size for the job. Once you've ground a bit away, line up your glass, and if it fits, happy days. If not, go over the corner again until it does fit. Then, finally, make sure you take off any burrs left behind with a miniature file. You'll never get it perfect again, but I guarantee that your customers will be much more grateful for some light abrasion marks on the edges rather than a badly fitting digitizer that's going to break very, very easily again. Tip number 6. If you're working on a device that you've never worked on before and you're worried about misplacing screws or other parts that you took out of the phone already, get yourself one of these magnetic whiteboard mats. You can mark up and label any screws as you remove them to help you when it comes to putting stuff back together. Another useful tool that I've found when disassembling unfamiliar devices, or if you can't figure out where one screw goes, is to head to iFixit.com and search for the model of the phone that you're taking apart, followed by the word teardown. Their site has loads of high quality images of devices taken apart already that you can use for reference when disassembling or reassembling a device. Tip number 7. This tip is a bit more gimmicky than the other tips that I've given you here, but it literally got millions and millions of views on both our TikTok and on our Facebook page. So I thought it'd be best to share it with you as well. Going back to the first tip talking about removing batteries, you can really speed up the process by using one of these electric screwdrivers to wind the adhesive easily out of there. Simply pull a small amount of the pull tab and then stick it to the end of your electric screwdriver and just press go. It'll pull it out real nice and easy, and it just works. Tip number 8. Guys, I'm sorry. I've tricked you. There weren't actually 8 tips. I ran out of ideas and my notes only went up to the ones what I've done before, but I thought if I say 8, it makes it a nice even number rather than 7. So tip number 8 is just to like, subscribe and hit the notification icon so that you get updates the next time that I post. Thank you everybody for watching, and I'll see you next time.